Yo, Lloyd, aka MegaBlitzz. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. Since making the MegaBlitzz YouTube channel almost 2 years ago now, it's primarily been just about the Pokemon trading card game and a couple little odd-end videos here and there. However, I haven't really talked about anything else that I really do besides the Pokemon trading card game. In the last couple weeks, probably about a month or so, I haven't really been uploading as much as my life's just been pretty busy. And I've been playing other video games as well. So this video is going to be talking about one of the 2 video games that I've been playing more primarily while taking a break from the Pokemon trading card game. Let's get into it. Already here are talking about World of Warcraft. Now, I really haven't talked about any sort of my other passions or other games that I like to play since making a video about 2 years ago where I kind of talked a little bit about my personal life and mentioned World of Warcraft very briefly in that, saying that I play Demon Hunter and I've been playing since I was a kid and kind of the higher end accomplishments and higher end content that I enjoy in the game. However, I've been playing Pokemon pretty consistently for just about 2 years and I really haven't taken a break. I started playing Pokemon pretty competitively and pretty consistent at the same time I started making YouTube content about the Pokemon trading card game. Now, after Snorlax Stall had rotated, I really struggled to find a deck that I actually enjoyed playing pretty regularly. So, since then, I have found a deep love for just other control decks, being Pidgeot Control, or Iron Thorns Crustle, or just straight Crustle, or Mimikyu Ogerpon, or what have you. Even though a lot of people tend to not like to play against those kinds of decks, and they are very frustrating to play against, it's the deck that I enjoy to play. So I intend to keep playing the decks that I like to play, regardless of what other people may think, because, like I said, I think it's fun. And the deck's also very good, so that's that. But not to go into that whole tangent about what decks people don't like to play and what I like to play and how it causes friction. Instead, today's video was talking about my return to World of Warcraft and kind of where I've been for the last month playing WoW, what my thoughts are about the game in the current state, the catch-up mechanics, what I like about it, what I don't like, and what my goal is with World of Warcraft going further and forward. So, World of Warcraft is a game that's been out since 2004. I started playing in, I think, about 2016-ish, 2015, somewhere around there. It really started to take the game very serious at about 2020, 2019, kind of in the COVID era. And I ended up finding a deep love for the endgame content, being Mythic Plus and raiding. So here you're seeing me do a time walking dungeon, which is one of the catch-up mechanics of the game, but we'll get into the catch-up stuff a little bit later. Mythic Plus is doing a dungeon like this with 5 total people and kind of adding difficulty to the dungeon by adding different affixes, making it so the bosses take more damage, or take less damage, or have more health, or do more damage to you, or even just other various things where little tornadoes will come up and you have to kind of dodge them throughout the whole dungeon while also doing the mechanics of the dungeon at the same time, and just adding different various obstacles and difficulties for you to have to overcome. So I've really enjoyed always doing that. However, with that, it takes a lot of time to get to that end game part, and also just takes a lot of time to do it even at the beginning part of it. You have to actually be able to get into the dungeon and do it, and then it takes 20-30 minutes to actually do the dungeon, and then you have to hope that you actually defeat it in the time limit, because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you're also timed in these higher-end content dungeons, Mythic Plus dungeons, so that's something else. You have to make sure you actually complete it within the time limit. And like I said, I've always enjoyed that pressure in the just drive and the hard just part of actually doing it. I've always thought it's always very fun and very enjoyable and just something to always kind of push for and just to keep doing better and getting better at. And watching this little gear or this IO score and this Raider score slowly tick up and get higher and higher, you can kind of compare yourself to other people in your same class and things like that. Has always been very fun. I've always been a very competitive person by nature, so it makes no difference, or makes the same sense and would make, you know, be very normal for me to enjoy that part of the game. Now, you can also do raiding where you and 20 people total, so 19 other people, are in a giant raid, and you're fighting against one really, really strong boss, and then you progress and fight all the other bosses throughout the rest of the raid. That's something else I've always enjoyed. There's LFR, which is just like kind of, you know, the pug nature, just kind of getting random people, and you just kind of all show up together, and it just kind of throws you in it. Then there's normal, heroic, and then mythic. Mythic is the highest level of raid content you can do in World of Warcraft. Mythic raiding is something that I've always been very passionate about, and I always liked doing. However, I've always struggled with the time, you know, restrictions and the timing of it, as just, I'm a very busy person, right? I work a full-time job. My girlfriend and I moved in together, so that kind of happened over the last month, which is another reason why I haven't been around as much or haven't been making a lot of content. And even just my other hobbies, right? Playing World of Warcraft, or playing the Pokemon trading card game, made it very difficult for me to actually be able to keep up and maintain that mythic rating and doing all the Mythic Plus dungeons and doing that endgame content that I've always enjoyed. So for me, it's always been just finding a different way to enjoy World of Warcraft and just kind of coming to terms with the fact that I am what we call a casual player. I am no longer a mythic raider or a hardcore player. I am more of just, you know, a casual player. I get on, I play for a little bit, I do a couple low-end Mythic Plus keys, because the key progression is like a +2 key, which is kind of the lowest, and then 3, +4, +5, and it can keep going up, kind of, I guess, almost indefinitely to my knowledge. But regardless, getting to that +16, that +15, the +20s, that's the end game content that I've always enjoyed. But now I don't really have the time to get to that anymore and have the time to actually commit and put in all the effort that is required to get to that level. So I've had to come to terms with the fact that I'm just a casual and I have to enjoy the game at the catch-up mechanic level or the lower end parts, of which is what I'm doing currently. And with that came some other difficulties, right? The fact that I don't get to play as much, so the $15 a month you have to spend feels a little wasted at times because I'm not able to play the game at that high level that I once enjoyed, and also because I don't really have that much time to play. I usually maybe get about 8 to 10 hours during the week until the weekend to actually play video games and kind of just chill and relax after work or making YouTube or doing other chores or taking care of other adult life stuff just in general, right? So committing all that time to World of Warcraft, even that 8 to 10 hours, still wasn't really enough time to actually do the endgame content that I liked. So instead, doing all these catch-up mechanics like these time-walking dungeons, which are just dungeons that are the older part of older expansions, kind of give you more, you know, exceptional gear to kind of help you progress to get to the other endgame part to do, you know, harder content and that endgame stuff, right? So with that, ended up me doing a lot of the catch-up mechanics of time-walking dungeons, different scenarios where you kind of go through and you help different parts throughout the expansion that you're in, and it gives you higher gear, and then it kind of helps you progress to get to that Mythic Plus and rating and stuff. And while being a very vertically progressed game, you get the gear to get the higher gear to get the higher gear to do the more damage, to do that end game content. So for me, I've always really struggled with being able to commit that much time. Since my life's just gotten more busy over the last couple of years, I don't have as much time to play anymore. So the things I like about it is the fact that the catch-up mechanics are even there in the first place. The fact that it's very accessible for people to actually come back and play the game and get caught up, play with friends, and still feel like you're powerful and you're doing a lot of damage. Right now, I remember doing this dungeon while recording this video and feeling just like I was on top of the world, right? I knew that I was like, man, I'm doing so great. I'm doing the dungeon well. I feel like I'm doing the mechanics pretty well. And I felt very important at the time, right? And I feel like that's always something that you want to make sure the players feel, right? And I like how they make it more accessible for the casual players in World of Warcraft and Blizzard, realizing, hey, like, not everybody has the time to do all this endgame content that, you know, people are most of the time doing. Not everybody actually has the time to do that. So what's a way can we do making older content more relevant and making the players still feel very engaged and powerful. And time walking, I feel like, is the best thing for that. So I've always really enjoyed time walking, and I get to go back and do some of my favorite expansions and kind of do the dungeons from them, which is always very fun. Now, the scenarios and stuff aren't really that great. It's kind of just rinse, repeat, and it's unfortunately very repetitive to have to do this. I like the dungeons because the dungeons aren't necessarily always repetitive because I'm doing different dungeons. However, like I said, doing the scenarios and the world quests are extremely repetitive and can get very boring very quickly, and that's something that I don't like about it, is the catch-up part. You know, on one end, you have the time-walking dungeons, which I feel are very fun and very engaging, and then you have the scenarios and the world quests and everything else, which are very boring and very repetitive, and I tend to not enjoy them as much. So for that, it's kind of hit or miss, right? But what is the goal with me and World of Warcraft going forward? I genuinely think that I don't see myself playing WoW as much as I've been playing other games, and coming back to the Pokemon TCG, with that kind of happening pretty soon, Pittsburgh coming up, things like that. I've also been playing Marvel Rivals quite a bit recently. I kind of hinted in the intro that there was 2 games that I'm playing, and Marvel Rivals being the second one. I'm actually kind of working on piecing together a video for that as well, and just kind of talking about my thoughts and feelings about that. But as far as World of Warcraft goes, I genuinely feel myself actually playing the game not as regularly and still being that very casual player. Like I said, as I just don't really have the time to kind of play at that end game level anymore. And I really see myself putting more time into Marvel Rivals, as that's just a game you can kind of boot up, play a game or two, and then kind of be done, as opposed to WoW, where you really have to commit all this extra time to doing professions and raiding and Mythic Plus and doing the gear progression and making sure the quests are done. And it's a thing that you have to constantly keep doing every single week as it resets. However, Marvel Rivals isn't really like that, and Pokemon TCG is another game where you can kind of just drop it and pick up and come and go as you please. WoW, like I said, is still very forgiving, yes, in the catch-up mechanics that the game has. However, the moment you stop playing the game regularly, you fall behind and have to do the catch-up mechanics again. So it's not as forgiving in that way of just being able to drop it and pick it back up as you see fit. So the time that I've been playing World of Warcraft over the last month, I didn't even really get to experience any of that end game type content that I actually enjoy. Instead, I had to do all the catch-up mechanics instead because, well, I took a break and I was gone for so long. So it's kind of a pro and con, and I kind of love it, but I also kind of hate it in a lot of ways. But I'm still very passionate at World of Warcraft, and I still see myself playing the game, just not, like I said, as often as I may like. And I don't see myself making a whole lot of World of Warcraft content here on the channel. This might just be a kind of one and done type video. Like I said, I'm not really too sure, as the stuff that I would want to make content about, I just don't have the time to make it. I don't have the time to actually get to that point in the game. And unfortunately, I don't really have the time to actually even play WoW at the casual level that I like. But I will make time for it as much as I can. And I'll come back when the new expansion comes out and do the, you know, the quest line and all that other stuff. And I still play WoW with my girlfriend and stuff, and we do mount runs and transmogs, being able to kind of collect different things in the game. That's always been very fun. And I'll always have this deep love and passion for World of Warcraft, and I'm very grateful for all the friends that I've made along the way playing WoW. And a lot of them I still even talk with to this day, and I've been friends with them for 5-6 years, right? So I'm very grateful that WoW's given me that, but I wanted to at least take the time today to make the video about WoW, just talk about it, talk about my return, talk about what the future looks like, kind of what I want to do with it, and if I'm even going to make content about it going forward. Like I said, you might see a couple more videos here and there, but the channel's been primarily the Pokemon trading card game, and like I said, I've been really enjoying Marvel Rivals, so if I'm going to make anything, it's going to be that video instead over World of Warcraft. Plus, like I said, spending the $15, $16 a month to play a game that I only really have time to play maybe a total of 20 to 40 hours in the entire, not even 40 hours, maybe 20 hours to 30 hours the entire month, doesn't really feel all that great. when I can just play a free game and just save myself the $16 a month. It's a little better. So I think that's going to wrap up pretty much everything about World of Warcraft, and kind of just a bit of an update video, I guess, a little bit in a way, and my return to WoW, and at the same time, my quitting of WoW, kind of, sort of, but I don't know. If you guys have any questions or any comments about World of Warcraft or anything like that, this video is a little bit different than what I typically make. It's kind of just no script, a little more free form. I probably repeated myself like 16 times, but it's whatever. I wanted to get this kind of video out there. I've been kind of sitting on this footage for like 2 weeks now, and I don't know. I originally started making this video like 2 weeks, but I've just been so busy that I haven't had time to finish it. So if you guys have any questions about World of Warcraft or just anything like that, or, you know, what other content you guys might want to see, even if it is WoW, or even just the Pokemon trading card game, I would love to hear it. So definitely kind of let's talk about it in the comments. Join the MegaBlitzz Book Club Discord. As always, we have tons of stuff going on in there. It's been a little quiet lately, but I want to kind of get it back up and going again. And yeah, I want to thank you all for the continued support, and even the continued support over my hiatus for the last month. Like I said, life's just been very busy. My girlfriend and I moved in together. I've been playing WoW, so I haven't really made any sort of Pokemon content. I've been playing Marvel Rivals. I took the time to also go fishing for like a good bit and kind of just be outside more while the weather's been nice, and just take a little, like I said, a little bit of a break while there's nothing really going on in the Pokemon trading card game space. Right now, it's just everybody playing Raging Bolt, Dragapult, and Gardevoir, and that's about it. You know, so it's been very nice to kind of just take a bit of a breather, because, like I said, one of my favorite phrases is, too much of something, even if that something is a good thing, it can become a bad thing. So that's going to do all for today's video. If you enjoyed the content I've been making so far on the channel, definitely make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!